Our selection today is Whom Shall I Fear?
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. It was a wonderful selection. Whom shall I fear? When we get right down to it, we are going to have some very, very serious things that we're going to have to witness the closer and closer that we get to the redemption of the children of Israel, because the redemption of the children of Israel is not just about Israel. We're talking about a complete change of rulership on the face of the earth. And the powers that be are doing everything to consolidate their power. So they are preparing to fight Yahshua when he returns. And I don't think people understand what's happening right now. As we read in a Sabbath or two ago, where we were mentioning the most highly populated cities with black people, you also find that this is where you have the most issues with this so-called sickness and things of that nature. Several days I have recorded, taken some pictures of the sky, and it is some of the strangest looking clouds you have ever seen in your life. When I was little, I know that, this is a different generation now. So, they got tablets and phones and things to keep them busy. When we were little, there were times where we got through playing, when we were tired, we would either lay down on the ground and just look up at the sky. So we got a lot of, understanding just looking at the clouds. Some of these things I took a picture and recorded a little small video of me driving down the street, and there was one cloud that lasted about 8 cities. When you ever seen a cloud like that? Now, I remember when they first started talking about this thing, Kish had mentioned about the small amount of things that are in Africa. They then claim that now it's that the sun, direct sun rays will help kill corona or whatever, all this kind of stuff, right? But the issue, he said that we were talking about that when they first brought this. When you look at these clouds, you have to wonder if they are artificially made to try to block the sun's rays, which we are already having issues from regardless. We didn't need a particular sickness. We were made to be closer to the sun. Melanin blocks sun because you're supposed to be closer to it. So we're already not spending enough time in it, and thereby we end up coming down with more sicknesses because of those things. So we have a lot of situations that are going to multiply. So if we don't figure out who it is we are really more afraid of, when it comes down to, I think sometimes we make the decision of either we're going to have no fear or we're going to be fearful. And sometimes that's not the question. The question needs to be, who are you more afraid of? So I may have some fear about what can happen from this army, but I'm more fearful of what can happen from my Elohim. So I'm going to take that route. So sometimes if you still got fear, if you can't operate, because sometimes people tell you, you're not supposed to have any fear. Sometimes you might be asking the wrong question. Who am I more afraid of? And the answer to that question should be Yahweh. And that should direct your movements. I'm sorry that we had to turn away a few people at the door. We have, we made a statement as to what we were doing in doing some separation at this time. We went through all of our holy days without changing anything. We didn't change any times. We didn't change anything. There are organizations that didn't have any holy days whatsoever. But now there's been an announcement by the governor, so then people automatically thought that meant something else. The governor didn't start our stuff and he can't stop it. He didn't have nothing to do with what we had going on here. So we have to decide what we're going to do the closer we get to this movement, because the redemption of the children of Israel is going to affect the entire earth. This is not just about a few people and we're going to go through some things. No, the entire earth is about to be moved for you. And you're not going to be without change for that. You don't just get to sit down and be in a comfort zone while the entire earth is moved out of the way to make way for you. And you just get to sit down on your laurels and do nothing. No. He's doing some things, but you don't just get to sit there and do nothing while he's doing it. And we begin to take the little sanctuaries that Yahweh has given us for granted. We're going to begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 22. Today's sermon is entitled, The Redeemed Remnant of Yah. Abba Father, may I have a word or two? On the ground, face down, palms out toward you. I've been made to bear the reproach of those. You know how the story goes. They hate you, but they won't face you. Their stature is too insignificant to ever fight with thee. So they say it with their chest, and they come and find me. I really love my people, but sometimes they make me blue. They say glory to the heathen, indignation toward you. I really wish they knew just what they do. It hurts that they are cursed, not knowing the truth. Ever thankful for my relocation out of the dark? You do an impeccable job renovating cold hearts. Yah Elohim, let me be your broken model. Let me prove how the once blind finds and follows. Even when I'm old and I'm walking with the staff, there ain't nothing that's going to keep me up off this holy path. Matthew chapter 22. Let's start that at verse 1.
Yahshua answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son.
Right. We'll put more attention into our own wedding vows and not pay attention to the wedding vows that we made with Yahweh our Elohim. See? We'll set up a shindig to renew our vows, but what about the vows we made when we got in that water? That's the reason why we have a baptism conference, so that people will understand the wedding vows that they're about to enter in. And there's times where we wouldn't do a baptism. Oh, they didn't have time for the conference? You don't have time for the baptism. People can say, well, I know all those things. I'm not concerned about what you know. This right here, I'm covering my end. I need to make sure before you get in that water that there's certain things that I've said. Go ahead.
And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come on to the marriage. But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise.
It says, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. So when we get ready to do our things for our holy days or even any of our gatherings, there is a sacrifice of time that has been made to prepare all of these things. So here it is, Yahweh is saying that these things are being prepared. And what are you going to do? Are you just, going to throw away his effort while he's doing all of these things to make preparation? Go ahead.
Verse 6. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was angry.
Right. The remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully. See, this is what ends up happening. The servants who are going to do the will of Yahweh, that means they ain't going to turn around and just say everything that everybody like to hear. See, the servants of Yahweh are going to say some difficult things, just like Yeshua did. So it's real easy to take them and spitefully slay them with our mouths. Go ahead.
And he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burnt up their city.
Right. So then when our righteous judgment comes upon us, it's not like all of these people going to have on Yahweh shirts and we're going to know that this is the judgment of Yahweh. No. There's going to be some heathens coming from somewhere. They're going to take this or take that from you. But we, going on about our business, will never equate that to this is because of what you've done against your Elohim. That's why this is taken from you. That's why this is happening unto you. Go ahead.
Then said he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy.
They which were bidden were not worthy. They were invited, but they were not worthy to even be at the marriage. Go ahead.
Go you therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found.
Right. See, we can't take it lightly that we've been invited to the marriage. Go ahead.
Both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment.
Right. He was not prepared, but he was invited because they went to invite anybody. So we are given this word. We enter into a covenant. And then we go out and invite people unto the marriage. Everybody that's invited ain't worthy. But he didn't put that up to them to decide who was worthy before being invited. He said, go invite the good and the bad. Go in the highways. Go wherever you find. Invite them. We'll find out when they get here. Go ahead.
And he said unto him, Friend, how come you in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless.
You knew where you were coming, right? But see, what we do is we're going to deal with what's presented to us the way we want to deal with it. You knew where you were going. You ever see them people go to the beach, but they ain't got no swim stuff? They show up at the pool. You can tell that baby that ain't no swim diaper because it's about this big. Hey, man, that thing ain't supposed to be in the water. You knew where you were coming, but you didn't prepare yourself at all for where you was going. Go ahead.
Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.
Right. We got to understand the difference. We were called to hear this word. You still got to work to decide within your own selves whether or not you are chosen. We are getting it confused that because you showed up on the Sabbath day, that you were chosen of Yahweh, our Elohim. No, you were called of Yahweh, our Elohim. You ain't chosen yet. We acting like we got the prize already. Luke chapter 14. Ain't nothing worse than the dude that start dancing before he make it to the end zone. And then fumble the ball. Because he was dancing so hard. He ain't even paid attention. He ain't passed that pylon yet, bruh. Hey, bruh, stop dancing. We already celebrating. See, that's what that so-called tribal breakdown give us. In our mind, it give us the right to start celebrating. Oh, we this tribe. We that tribe. Oh, we dancing. How about score first? Luke chapter 14, and let's start that at verse 7.
Verse 7. And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, When you're bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than you be bidden of him. And he that bade you and him come and say to you, Give this man place, and you begin with shame to take the lowest room. But when you are bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade you comes, he may say unto you, Friend, go up higher.
Right. See, what we do is we take it for granted that we always got a seat. So because we take it for granted that we always got a seat, we take it for granted when we going to show up, what time we going to show up, whether or not we going to show up. You know, I just don't feel right today. I feel like resting. You know, my feet feel funny. I don't feel like walking. But when we about our own business and we push all the Yahweh stuff to the side, oh, we exalting ourselves. Because we're going to push Yahweh's business last. And we're going to take care of all of our own stuff. Go ahead, brother.
You know, I think a lot of people, they don't understand that it takes more faith to go through this thing for Yah's kingdom than it takes to go to work to receive a check.
Oh, brother, it definitely takes more faith to go through the things for Yah's kingdom. Because when we go to work for a check, we already know what time our reward gonna get there. See, that one thing we done time. We know exactly what time that direct deposit gonna hit.
It's normally 2:17 on Friday.
Let it be 2:18 on Friday. We be like, what the?
Excuse me, Mr. Bob Dabalina, how you doing? Yeah, this Keisha. Look here, it's 2:18. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, there it is. Never mind, bye. I had to refresh. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Verse 12. Then said he also to him,
So you can't possibly be recompensed. Go ahead.
And when one of them that sat at meat with him heard these things, he said unto him, Blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of Elohim. Then said he unto him, A certain man made a great supper, and bade many. and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, Come, for all things are now ready. And they all, with one consent, began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray you, have me excused.
Right. See, as long as people think they got a permanent seat, they have many excuses as to why they cannot keep Yahweh's holy Sabbath days. Oh, I gotta do that. I gotta go see a dog about a cat. What? Go ahead.
And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray you, have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come.
I can't. I got this woman. Do you see that? Do you see that? I'm not going to be able to make it. Yeah. Right. Read, man.
So that servant came and showed his master these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant,
The master of the house being angry. Go ahead.
Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor, and the maimed, and the halt, and the blind. And the servant said, Adonai, it is done as you have commanded, and yet there is room.
It is done as you are commanded, and yet there's still room. Go ahead.
And the master said unto the servant, Go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you, that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper.
None of those men that were bidden shall taste of my supper. Go ahead.
And there went great multitudes with him. And he turned and said unto them, If any man come to me, and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
Right. If you're going to be a servant of Yahweh, all the other things are going to have to shift. And when he says hate, it is to push those things back behind him. Because you have those situations where we love our families and things so much that we'll say, oh, I can't do this for you, Yahweh, because I got to do that. Oh, I can't do this for you, Yahweh, because I got to do this over here. Eventually say, you know what, I don't need that servant. Get rid of him. Go find somebody else. Because every time we need something, he got something else to do. Every time we need something done, he's got some personal time that we somehow invading. Go ahead.
And whosoever does not bear his burdens and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sits not down first and counteth the cost?
Now, let me clarify now. This is disciple. These are leaders. These are not just regular worshipers now. So some people will listen to that and say, man, I'm going to lose my salvation. That's not, I understand what he's talking about. What was a disciple? See, the disciples worked under him, correct? They then went after people. These are then the leaders. He's not saying this for everybody. So know the cost of what it is when you decide you're going to step into that seat. If you're going to step into that seat, all those who want to host their shindigs, you stepping in that seat. If you're not willing to turn all of these things away, see, some, they're doing that so they can still be close to all their natural family, which is the very thing that Yahweh said, you're going to have to put all that in its proper place. Because when Yahweh call you to go somewhere, hey, I got somebody that need to be saved right over here. Go to this place.
Well, no, I was waiting. My wife is doing her makeup. She's not ready yet.
And then we're going to think it's wrong when he said, will somebody kill him? I need one angel. Somebody go kill him. Read, bro.
Verse 28. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sits not down first and counts the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Least happily, after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, going to make war against another king, sits not down first, and consults whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that comes against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sends an ambassage, and desires conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsakes not all that he has, he cannot be my disciple.
If he is not able to put those things into subjection, then let him go sit in the seat with the common folk. Being a disciple is not for him. Let's go to Matthew chapter 21. See, when you put yourself in a situation that you're not ready for, you may turn around and end up losing your salvation. Maybe you should sit in that regular seat and maybe you will gain your salvation. You put yourself in a leadership role and then decide not to lead. Now you done lost your salvation. You would have had your salvation, you would have just sat over there. But then you sit in a seat where the workers sit and then decide you're not going to work. You hurt yourself. Can't get behind the wheel and then just decide in the middle of the drive, you know what, I don't even feel like driving no more. I'm just going, I ain't going to even, you know what, I ain't even do this. Hey man, that's about to hit a tree. You can't just let that go, bro. Matthew chapter 21, let's start at verse 28.
But what think you? A certain man had 2 sons. And he came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went.
Now this sounds like a disobedient son right here. You know, this is a father. And the father says, go work today in my vineyard. And he's going to say, I will not. Oh, this boy, what? A little knuckle. Go ahead.
And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not.
Now see, this is the actual deceptive son right here. See, this is the one who smile and tell you, yes, sir. I go, sir. But he's just lying like a Persian rug. He ain't gonna do nothing. So the one who looked like they're problematic is not actually the problem. Keep going.
Whether of them 2 did the will of his father? They say unto him, the first. Yahshua says unto them,
the first. Why? Even though he uttered the truth, even though the truth was ugly, he uttered the truth. Then he repented. He did not want to go. But he repented, changed his ways, and went. The other one, in front of people, looked like they're the better son. I go, sir.
People say, now you see that? That is a nice, respectable young man. Look how he answers to his father.
But see, they don't come back the next day.
You know what? He didn't go out there at all.
Right. Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of Elohim before you.
Check that out. Publicans, these tax collectors, they hated them. He's saying the most hated individuals are going to walk in the kingdom before you. Publicans and harlots. He said the publicans and the whores going to go into the kingdom before you. Go ahead.
For Yohanan came unto you in the way of righteousness, and you believed him not.
Right. You couldn't hear him. See? Go ahead.
But the publicans and the harlots believed him.
Check that out. The people who were supposed to be the scum, those were the people who was able to hear and recognize that what he was saying was true. But when we got other reasons not to believe, we question everything. It's amazing because we didn't question them lies that we were learning when we was stuck out in the world. But we'll come in the truth and have more questions about the truth than we ever had about a lie. Now, ain't that straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel? Go ahead.
And you, when you had seen it, repented not afterwards, that you might believe him. Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, that they might receive the fruits of it. And the husbandmen took his servants, and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise.
Right. And we'll just stone you on the internet. You know, we'll just, you know, saying, unlike all your content, you know, that's how we do it today. This is what they do to Yahweh's servants. And they think they swear they hurt you when they put, you know, on your video. Apparently I was supposed to go, ah! Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 37. But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son.
No, they won't. No, they won't. If they will not hear Moshe, they will not repent, though one rose from the dead. They gonna hate him too. Go ahead.
But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him, and cast him out of the vineyard, and slew him. When the Adonai therefore of the vineyard comes, what will he do unto those husbandmen?
Right. What are he going to do unto those who were supposed to be servants, and Yahweh has given them some form of understanding? What are he going to do when he returns? Go ahead.
They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their seasons. Yahshua says unto them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner? This is the Adonai's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore say I unto you, the kingdom of Elohim shall be taken from you, and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof.
Right. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of Elohim shall be taken from you, and given to another nation who will bring forth the fruit. Our problems, we made them. But we quick to blame the nation who ends up with it. We put all our blame there. But we missed that part where we didn't do what we were supposed to do. Go ahead.
And whosoever shall fall on his stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude, because they took him for a prophet.
Right. Y'all should go through the same thing. I went through the same things that we go through. Look here. Verse 45, and when the chief priests and the Pharisees had heard his parable, they perceived that he spake of them. And then they were ready to lay hands on him. Son of Elohim, they ready to lay hands on him. So I don't get mad when folk want to put some hands on these socks. When they get them tight monkey lips. Oh, I know they get mad because I can tell by their lips. They don't say nothing. Right. I don't get mad. Hey, they want to do something to my God, King, High Priest. I know they want to do something to me. Let's go to Luke chapter 15. Yeah, if his talk made him mad, of course my talk gonna make him mad. Because my talk gonna resemble his talk. The words I speak are his words. So if his word made him mad, me speaking his words gonna make him mad too. Luke chapter 15, and let's read verses 11 through 32.
And he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the young son gathered all together, and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living.
Right. Our inheritance is the depth of this word. We take our inheritance, and instead of going out in the highways and byways and distributing that word, what we do is go take that word and waste it with riotous living. We use the word as it suits us. Go ahead.
And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine.
Right. Now, he had inheritance. He has blown the inheritance, and now he's among the filthy pigs. Go ahead.
And he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare?
Now, hold on. It says, and when he came to himself, all right, he had to be amongst the swine, feeding the swine, get so hungry that he would have eaten the rotten food. What they give to the swine is the leftover. Husks are the part of food that you don't normally eat. You know, you eat all the apple, you leave the middle part, chunk that. Pig like, oh, that's delicious. All the little nasty stuff left over, pig eat all that. He had to go through that for a while. Then he comes to himself. So he had to go all the way and hit rock bottom. Then he comes to himself. See, until he comes to rock bottom, he's still entertaining that bad spirit. The whole time he's got money. And somebody is helping him. See, sometimes you can be helping somebody to continue a bad spirit. They need to hit rock bottom so that they can come to themselves and realize what I've been doing is absolutely stupid. He does not come to himself while he's got his inheritance and he blowing it. He still ain't came to himself yet. When it's gone, now he's separated from everything. Now he has an opportunity to really spend time with himself. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger?
I'm sitting over here dying of hunger, and my daddy got servants that's eating. Now, why you didn't know that before? Pride. What caused you not to go back to your house? Pride and comfort, and I have the ability right here. Right. Go ahead.
I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I'm no more worthy to be called your son.
In other words, now I'm ready to repent. Now this situation has brought me so low that I am not dealing with this pride situation anymore. Now he's ready to make some statements to his father. Could make them statements as long as he had that money. That money kept him from making that statement. Go ahead.
Make me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him.
He didn't even get an opportunity to say it. He just had to have it in his heart. And the father knew he had to have it in his heart to even try to come back. It was just in there. He didn't get an opportunity to say it. Go ahead.
And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son.
He was already there. So that's one thing about being a father. Hey, you see this stuff you going through? See, I've already been your age. You ain't never been mine. The stuff you going through, I already went through. Go ahead.
You know, it's like you were just touching on, even when this situation, the father's already showing compassion, running, kissing him. He could have, what'd you say, just sweep it under the rug. Well, just go with the flow. I ain't got to say, my dad's already accepting me back. But no, he came out and spake forth what was necessary to come out of his heart.
And that's that next level. See? Some of us do just enough to get by. See? Go ahead.
But the father said to his servants, bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat, and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry.
Right. We were once lost out in the gross darkness, being alienated from the commonwealth of Israel without a care in the world. Then Yahweh allowed for us to find his truth. Do we then walk back into darkness? Go ahead.
Now his eldest son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, your brother is come, and your father has killed the fatted calf. Because, lo, these many years do I serve you, neither transgressed I at any time your commandment. And yet you never gave me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this your son was come, which has devoured your living with harlots, you have killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him,
now you got to look at it, you know. This seems extremely unfair from this brother's point of view. Man, I didn't waste none of your stuff. Look at what he did with it. And you making a party for this? This is what you're celebrating? Go ahead.
Verse 31. And he said unto him, son, you are ever with me, and all that I have is yours.
Uh-huh.
It was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this your brother was dead, and is alive again, and was lost, and is found.
And this was what the celebration was about. The brother has returned, and yes, it is a great thing, but do understand, he has already received and wasted his inheritance. See, there's a part of that we just don't deal with. Yeah, they see the party that was happening, but understand something now. When that father passed, everything going to that other boy. Mm-hmm. He already got his. Are we out wasting our inheritance with riotous living? Thinking about ourselves and everything that we want to do? Then what you going to do when Yahshua get here and he say, oh, no, you already got yours? As he starts handing out gifts unto men who has labored in the spirit. When he starts handing out those things and he tell you, oh, no, you already got yours. Yeah, that don't sound like seem like a good situation at all. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 35. Ain't nothing worse than expecting something and getting nothing. Sometimes the expectation is the thing that kill you. You be all right as long as you know. See, when somebody lets you know up front, you ain't getting nothing, you go ahead and get it in your head. But when you think you about to get something, and don't nothing show up, here come the monkey lip. Boy, they tightening, boy, they tight. Right. Isaiah chapter 35, and let's start that at verse 1.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
This is for the redeemed remnant of Yahweh our Elohim. See, this ain't, for everybody. See, Yahweh already knows that Israel has a tendency to fall off the wagon. So he goes out of his way to prove even to Israel that they even want to be in the wagon. Go ahead.
It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen you the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert.
There's some things that we may get redeemed from before we leave out of here. But then there's other things that may be internally or physically wrong with us that Yahweh is going to work out in that wilderness. But we got to hold on and make it to that point. We just like to act like ain't nothing wrong with us, which makes it even harder for us to get any healing. Go ahead.
And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs. And
come to Zion with songs. These songs of redemption. See, it's crazy that the heathen would want to hear what we call Negro spirituals more than us. They'll sing us one of those songs of Zion. So, man, how we going to sing songs of Zion being in captivity to you? They want to hear our songs more than we want to hear. We don't want to hear songs about returning to Zion no more. People want to hear them fast gospel, I love you song. Oh, sweet Jesus. That's what we want to hear. You know it's sad when they got a song that's the only lyric is Jesus. That's all they say through the whole song. G-U, 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 G-U. And I'm waiting. I'm like, he gonna say something else. G-U. I'm like, man, all right, come on now. I mean, he gonna say something. So he just keeps saying it a different way. G-U, 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 G-U. Come on, man. You ain't gonna say nothing now? That's it. That's the whole song. One lyric. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 10. And the ransomed of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads.
Right, and I guarantee you that won't be one of them. All right? You come out there singing that one, we're going to beat you to a pulp. Go ahead, bro.
They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel 36, and let's start at verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 15 to start with.
Also, you son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, You mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, because the enemy has said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession.
And because the heathen has possessed the land of Israel for so long, they believe they got it down, and it is no way it can ever come away from them. But they forgot about Yahweh. See, what they're doing is trying their best to keep us underfoot, do all of the things that will keep us from rising up, and they're putting all their focus on keeping us down. But they forgot about Yahweh. Go ahead.
Therefore prophesy and say, Thus says the Adonai Yah, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen.
Right, and whoever possessed the so-called Jews that are in the land of Israel, whoever possessed them. Right. This book don't fit nobody but us. And that makes the heathen angry when you say that. Oh, that angers the heathen. Nothing, let me tell you something. Deuteronomy 28 is like acid to a heathen spirit. You're like, Deuteronomy 28. They just say it and watch the heathen Like, what is wrong with him? Go ahead.
And you are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Adonai Yah. Thus says the Adonai Yah to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Yah, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey.
Right. Anybody come over there with any tint to their skin, they get forced shots to make them sterile. While they invite all of the other ish from all around the world, they can come back to the land of Israel because they need more and more people to justify taking more and more land. So they invite people to have dual citizenship in Israel, as long as you don't have any tint to your skin. If you have tint to your skin, you get put in one of them camps where they have to monitor you coming and going. And people think that Trump's issues that he has with immigration is a problem. Y'all ain't looked at Israel's immigration. It's the most racist thing ever been put on this planet. But that somehow never makes the news. So we argue about the things of Trump, but we don't understand their policies are absolutely horrible. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, thus says the Adonai Yah, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because you have borne the shame of the heathen.
Right, Yahweh said, I'm jealous over you. We are married unto him. A man is allowed to be jealous over his wife. I have given these things, for you to worship me with, and you gave them to worship the gods of these heathens that don't even really exist. Go ahead.
Therefore thus says the Adonai Yah, I have lifted up mine hand, surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. But you, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and you shall be tilled and sown. And I'll multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it.
Right. They have spent their entire time, even in dealing with these things, trying their best to control our numbers as far as us multiplying upon the face of the earth. They're going to do all of that. And it may look like with a lot of our people passing away and all of the things that are going to go down, that they are succeeding. And then Yahweh going to turn around and just multiply us after they get through doing all that. See, Yahweh let the heathen do what he's doing, but he's actually working for Yahweh. He don't know. Because Yahweh is going to let them get rid of the ones who are never going to serve him. See, they weren't going to serve Yahweh no way. So you have to ask yourself, why was Moshe not judged of that murder that he committed? Yahweh was going to kill all of them anyway. He's like, he was just getting started. It's just a precursor. All right, just saying to get a little practice murder in. And when you come back, you're going to murder the rest of them. All right? All right. All right. 1, 2, 3, murder. All right. That's my dog. What? He came back. He killed way more than he did. And that was the reason he left. Go ahead.
And the city shall be inhabited, and the ways shall be built. Verse 11. And I'll multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I'll settle you after your old estate.
I will settle you after your old estate. Do you consider that somebody is decorating the house for you right now? I mean, we're spending now a lot of time decorating the house we're in, and this you need to just look at that as a rental property. This is just a temporary place where you at. Somebody's decorating your future home right now. Because it was already in your family. It was already yours. You're going to go back to them same places. Go ahead.
And will do better unto you than at your beginnings.
Uh-huh.
And you shall know that I am Yahweh.
You will know that he is Yahweh because you yourself was not able to physically do this. This is how when we know we dealing with Yahweh. When we know for a fact, I don't have the ability to do that. People say, man, you did such and such. Yeah, I know. That's what it looked like, don't it? It sure looked like I did that. But I don't know how to do that. That's how you know when Yahweh showed up. Everybody be congratulating you, and you just sitting there like, I don't really understand what even happened here. Right. Go ahead.
Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel, and they shall possess you, and you shall be their inheritance, and you shall no more henceforth bereave them of men.
Uh-huh.
Thus says the Adonai Yah, because they say unto you, you land devoureth up men, and have bereaved your nations. Therefore you shall devour men no more, neither bereave your nations any more, says the Adonai Yah. Neither will I cause men to hear in you the shame of the heathen any more. Neither shall you bear the reproach of the people any more. Neither shall you cause your nations to fall any more, says the Adonai Yah.
Jump to verse 22.
Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus says the Adonai Yah, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake.
For my holy name's sake. Do you not understand that Israel is a holy name? And y'all time got somebody, fighting over the name of Yah. They have gone past that the first holy name was El, then Elohim, and you have the holy name of Israel. You are carrying a holy name. And when we decide that we're going to do whatever it is we want to do, now we defile the holy name. But we keep thinking about Yahweh. He's the one that named you Israel. Go ahead.
Which you have profaned among the nations, whither you went. And I'll sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, says the Adonai Yah, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes.
Right. See, I'm going to use you to get my glory back. You the one that defiled my holy name anyway, right? So you're going to be the one that's going to cause me to get glory on the earth through my great name. They're going to glorify me and say, oh, no, I know Yahweh real. Because I remember that dude right there. I remember what that dude used to do. No, it's definitely a God. I can tell you. Because it's going to take one to change him. Go ahead.
For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
All countries. Not one country. See? Go ahead.
Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I'll take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I'll give you an heart of flesh.
Right, but we got to work for that. We got to work to get to that point where we have a new heart given within us. It says to those that persevere. See, we just want to do nothing and just wait for the new heart.
No, I'm going to be better once they give me this new one. But I'm going to run this foul one in the ground until I get that other one.
That ain't going to work. Go ahead.
And I'll put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I'll call for the corn and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. And I'll multiply the fruit of the tree and the increase of the field, that you shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall you remember your own evil ways and your doings that were not good.
Then shall you remember your own evil ways and your doings that were not good. See, this is where the situation of repentance then comes about. See, it's hard to get somebody to repent when they are still convinced in their mind, I ain't doing that. Go ahead.
And shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your lawlessness and your abominations. Not for your sake do I this, says the Adonai Yah, but be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. Thus says the Adonai Yah, in the day that I will have cleansed you from all your lawlessness, I will cause you to dwell in the cities, and the ways shall be built. And the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that pass by.
Right. Yahweh does the same things over and over. So if you're confused about what's going to happen in some of the future things, you just read about what he did in the past. Go ahead.
And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden.
That's what it turns into when you get there. So I keep telling people, look at the land of Israel so you'll have a reference point. Then remember what you saw. Because when we get in it, it ain't going to look like that. Go ahead.
And the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, built the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it. Thus says the Adonai Yah, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. As the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feasts, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
They shall know that I am Yahweh. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 51. Isaiah chapter 51, and let's start there at verse 1.
Verse 1. Hearken to me, you that follow after righteousness, you that seek Yahweh. Look unto the rock whence you are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence you are digged. Look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you. For I called him alone, and blessed him, and increased him. For Yahweh shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Yahweh.
Right, and you have to consider what was the Garden of Eden like. You're talking about all of this power that was there, all of the ability that man had within that was enormous. We don't even use half of our brain power. It has been locked away from us. There are abilities that we should have, but because of sin, we lost access to those parts. It's like having the most powerful computer, but then there are programs that block you from accessing it. We keep thinking that Yahweh has to miraculously give us all of these things. No, he gave you all those things when he made you. But as sin kept growing in the earth, he started cutting off access to it. You're losing access to more and more. So the things that we are working to gain access to, you already have. Go ahead.
Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody.
You know what? You have to think about sometimes like what we know of is pain, right? Think about how pain is not known until you actually visualize it and then your brain processes the thought. Now, if you have true power over the thought, you can actually do whatever you want to do with that. There are people that have lost their fingers, and because they didn't know that it was actually cut off, they were still moving about. And somebody had to tell them, you bleed. Now, if pain was just something that you feel when it happens to you, how is it that people can have enormously painful things that have happened to them, yet they don't feel any of that until they look at it, visualize what happened, and then process the thought. Now all of a sudden they feel pain. You ever looked at an ant hill, you step on an ant pile and then all of a sudden you start itching? As your brain process what you saw. There's power in what you do with this. That you can make that do whatever you want it to do. We just don't have access to it right now. Not on the level that was originally given unto us in the Garden of Eden. That's why the adversary, no. Attack them here. This is the most powerful thing that they have. They're going to do the rest. Go ahead.
Verse 4, hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation. For a law shall proceed from me, and I'll make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth, and mine arms shall judge the people. The isles shall wait upon me, and on mine arm shall they trust. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Hearken unto me, you that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear you not the reproach of men, neither be you afraid of their revelings. And the moth shall eat them up like a garment, and the worm shall eat them like wool. But my righteousness shall be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. Awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of Yahweh, awake, as in the ancient days, in the generations of old. Are you not it that has cut Rahab and wounded the dragon? Are you not it which has dried the sea, the waters of the great deep, that has made the depths of the sea a way for the ransom to pass over? Therefore the redeemed of Yahweh shall return and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. I, even I, am he that comforts you. Who are you, that you should be afraid of a man that shall die?
Who are you that you should be afraid of a man? Who are you going to be more afraid of? If you can't get rid of fear, just figure out who you're supposed to be more afraid of. Go ahead.
And of the Son of Man, which shall be made as grass, and forgetteth Yahweh your Maker that has stretched forth the heavens.
Right. And we don't even consider that at this point, Yahweh looks at it as disrespectful. Oh, you more afraid of him than you are of me? Really? Oh, now Yahweh looks at it very disrespectful. You don't see my power? Go ahead.
No, I want to ask you, in verse 11, at the bottom it says, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. So, I guess sorrow and mourning was there then.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's something that we eventually guys will have to go through. So, there's more to come.
Obviously. You know, if we have to persevere, we have to, like we read earlier, there's the call, then there's the chosen. We already at the chosen part when we get a phone call. When they call you to come into the interview, that don't mean you got the job. Come in, oh, we done already we sizing up the uniform. Look at that. Man, they ain't said they hired you. You was just called.
I've been chosen.
You still got to go through the interview. We being interviewed, and we already acting like we got the job. See, when you think you got the job, you know, you start showing up late. You're still in the interview process. Go ahead.
Verse 13, and forgetteth Yahweh your Maker that has stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth, and has fared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if there were ready to destroy, and where is the fury of the oppressor? The captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. But I am Yahweh your Elohim, that divided the sea, whose waves roared. Yahweh of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in your mouth, and I have covered you in the shadow of mine hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, you are my people. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which was drunk at the hand of Yahweh, which has drunk at the hand of Yahweh the cup of his fury. You have drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she has brought forth. Neither is there any that takes her by the hand of all the sons that she has brought up. These two things are come on to you. Who shall be sorry for you? Desolation and destruction, and the famine, and the sword. By whom shall I comfort you? Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of Yahweh, the rebuke of your Elohim.
Your sons have fainted. Go ahead.
Therefore, hear now this, you afflicted and drunken, but not with wine.
Right. Drunken with bad doctrine. Drunken with our own self-will and pride. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And when you're intoxicated, you don't make good decisions. They seem like absolutely wonderful decisions when you are intoxicated. But when you come to, you realize, I probably should not have done that. Too late now. This is why you're supposed to be drunk in your own house. So if you do something stupid, the only people know about it is the folk that was in your house.
You know what, Daddy? When you drink that Hennessy, I'm gonna need you to stay in your room. You forgot you didn't have any underpants on when you came out of there. All right, so from now on, Hennessy mean you in your room, okay? Don't come out, all right? Because you just blinded us. We can't see for a week now, you know.
Done deal. But see, that's in your house. That just turned sinful when you came out your house. Go ahead.
Verse 22, thus says the Adonai Yahweh, and your Elohim that pleaded the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of your hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. You shall no more drink it again. But I'll put it in the hand of them that afflict you, which have said to your soul, bow down, that we may go over. And you have laid your body as the ground and as the street to them that went over.
Right. And we do this spiritually, accepting anything that is presented to us by the heathen. We don't even understand that this is what we're doing. All the while throwing our Elohim on the back burner, accepting whatever the heathen presents unto us. Keep going, brother.
Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean.
Right. We have a grace period, if you will, even with the law of circumcision. But it's going to come a point that all of those things are going to have to be performed before we enter into that land. Because see, there were designed mechanisms set forth to make sure that an increased number of the children of Israel did not receive that circumcision. And all those things are going to have to eventually be fixed. But we're under a grace period at this point. But that don't mean it's going to be there forever. It's called a grace period. Go ahead.
Shake yourself from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose yourself from the bands of your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Yahweh, you have sold yourselves for naught, and you shall be redeemed without money.
You have sold yourselves for nothing. That was a bad deal. How you sell yourself for nothing? Go ahead.
For thus says the Adonai Yah, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what have I here, says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for naught? They that rule over them make them to howl, says Yahweh. And my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that does speak. Behold, it is I. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that brings good tidings, that publish peace, that brings good tidings of good, that publish salvation, that says unto Zion, your Elohim reigns. Your watchmen shall lift up the voice. With the voice together shall they sing, for they shall see eye to eye, when Yahweh shall bring again Zion.
Right. If you're going to see the eye to eye, that means we accept the doctrine that was given unto us. You can't see eye to eye when you don't accept the doctrine. See, when you got questions about the doctrine, you can't see eye to eye. And this watchman, their job is to keep talking. Watchman can't keep silent. A quiet watchman is a dead watchman and a dead people eventually. Go ahead.
Bring forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem. For Yahweh has comforted his people, he hath redeemed Jerusalem. Yahweh hath made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our Elohim. Depart you, go you out from thence. Touch no unclean things, go you out of the midst of her. Be you clean, that bear the vessels of Yahweh. For you shall not go out with haste, nor go by flight. For Yahweh will go before you, and the Elohim of Israel will be your reward. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled, and be very high. As many were astonished at you, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. Who has believed our report?
Who has believed our report? Who believed the doctrine? This is what causes people not to be able to see eye to eye. Because they'll get somebody else in their ear, and then now there's a question about the doctrine. Everything we encounter, Yeshua has already encountered it. Who has believed our report? They saw him physically in the flesh, still didn't believe the report. Watched him do miracles, still didn't believe the report. They watched Moshe do miracles, still didn't believe the report. They witnessed it with their own eyes and still didn't believe. So of course we got some unbelief that we got to work on. We didn't get to see miracles. So if our people saw miracles and still didn't believe, think about the questions we gonna have. While people stand there and we pick out the most, the finest Hebrew outfits. But under that fine clothing is a heart of unbelief. If clothing made you believe more, I'd buy clothing every week. Go ahead, bro.
And to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He has no form nor comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
There's no beauty, there's no form of comeliness, there's no beauty that we should desire him. In other words, he ain't rich. Because y'all know what we like. Y'all know what makes something beautiful. When we see it, if it's got money, oh, it's beautiful. We even examine the church. Look how nice that building is. Look at all those nice cars in the parking lot. You find out the bigger that building is, the more hoop and holler they got to do to pay that rent. See, that small church down the street, they only had to tell small lies. That big church, they got to tell big lies. Right. Right. See, people don't consider any of that. See, there's nothing that we should desire him. You think about it, everybody has gotten in their head, what they think Christ looked like. Oh, it's going to be a whole lot of disappointed people. Go ahead.
He's despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief.
A man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. We want to be happy time all day long. And if we encounter any grief,
Something must be wrong with this. Something wrong with this doctrine. If I encounter grief.
not even considering Yahweh trying to work some sin out of you. But what we're going to do is transpose that to somebody else. It must be something wrong with the doctrine if I'm going through this. Never consider that he's probably trying to pull something out of you.
No, it can't be about me. It's got to be about somebody else.
Go ahead, bro.
And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken.
He did what? He carried our grief. He bore our sin. In other words, he was then in charge of the gathering. Because he had to bear the sin, right? Okay, go ahead.
Smitten of Elohim and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgression.
Once again, he had to carry the sin of the gathering. Go ahead.
He was bruised for our lawlessness. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes, we are healed.
His stripes, we are healed. Go ahead.
All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way.
We have turned everyone to his own way. What I think, what I feel, what I believe. Yeah, I heard that, but I don't think that's going to be valid. Well, yeah, I know the words say that, but. Go ahead.
You know, it's profound that you said that he had to bear the punishment for his gathering. He's the one that said, let us create man, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right.
It was your big old plan and your big old idea,
Uh-huh.
your party.
Right. Then he asked his father, is there any other way? No. No, there's no other way. Your creation, you got to bear this. So we don't understand what we're signing ourselves up for. You know, when folks want to be, them part-time teachers. Ain't no part-time sin holder. Go ahead.
And Yahweh has laid on him the lawlessness of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
Not for his own transgression. So once we enter into that covenant, then these are all the things that we are taking on. He suffered for our sins, not for his sins. When we suffer for our own dealings. Go ahead.
And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him.
It pleased Yahweh to bruise him, to bring forth repentance and atonement unto Israel. It didn't please him to bruise him because he was pleased in bruising him. He was pleased in restoring the children of Israel. Understand why it pleased him to bruise him. Don't get it twisted. Go ahead.
He has put him to grief. When you shall make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahweh shall prosper in his hand. He shall see of the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their lawlessness. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he has poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
And he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. So now we get in a situation where entering into this covenant with Yahshua, that in making that with the Father and the Son, when we do the things that we are supposed to do, now we have the ability for him to make intercession for us. Oh, well, we can't lose then. See, we always make prayer for us. But if the Son asks something for you, it's automatically given of the Father. That's something that we don't consider. We know in this land, if we get in trouble, we know we won't, you know you got to go to court with a lawyer. We know if you get one of them public pretenders, we know we ain't never going to see you again. We know that. We know that. If you show up in court with one of them public pretenders, you know what I'm saying? If that dude got on that polyester and that short sleeve shirt with that clip-on tie, I want you to just practice. I'm going to jail. Go ahead and practice that. Because this place don't deal with nothing but money. You got to have somebody that's going to speak on your behalf. What you think Yahshua is? You don't get to go around him and go to Yahweh. If you got an intercessor like that, you're good. Go ahead.
Sing, O barren, you that did not bear. Break forth into singing, and cry aloud, you that did not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, says Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Enlarge the place of your net, and
Of
let
your
them
tent.
enlarge the place of your tent, pardon me, and let them stretch forth the curtains of your habitations. Spare not, lengthen your cords, and strengthen your stakes. For you shall break forth on the right hand and on the left, and your seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited.
Right. You shall inherit all the wealth and power of the Gentiles. Why? Because the rulership on the earth is going to change. So all of those things that have been done, now that power is going to have to be given unto Israel so that it may be used in a righteous fashion. See, Israel not going to take that power and try to create people. See, when the heathen have this power, they trying to make, man goats and trying to take, embryos of something else and put it in something else. No, all that technology is going to have to be given to Israel, and Israel going to deal with it righteously. Go ahead.
Fear not, for you shall not be ashamed, neither be you confounded, for you shall not be put to shame. For you shall forget the shame of your youth, and shall not remember the reproach of your widowhood any more. For your maker is your husband. The Yahweh of hosts is his name.
Mm-hmm.
And your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the Elohim of the whole earth, shall he be called.
Right. He is our Elohim, but he is truly the Elohim of the whole earth. The earth and the fullness therein belongs to him. So when Yahweh takes something from the heathen and give it to you, you have to remember, it was his stuff. Go ahead.
For Yahweh has called you as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when you was refused, says your Elohim. For a small moment have I forsaken you, but with great mercies will I gather you.
Right. 2,000 years seem like a long time. It's just but a small moment. In the grand scheme of forever, it's just a small moment. But it was enough to get our undivided attention. And yet he still does not have all of our attention. So now he's working on the blind to get their attention. Go ahead.
In a little wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on you, says Yahweh your Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I sworn that I would not be angry with you, nor rebuke you. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from you, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, says Yahweh that has mercy on you.
Mm-hmm.
O you afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted. Behold, I will lay your stones with fair colors, and lay your foundations with sapphires. And I'll make your windows of agates, and your gates of carbuncles, and all your borders of pleasant stones.
All the things that were set forth in the beginning. Go ahead.
And all your children shall be taught of Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of your children.
All your children shall be taught of Yahweh. Go ahead.
In righteousness shall you be established. You shall be far from oppression. For you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near you.
It shall not come near you. Go ahead.
Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against you shall fall for your sake. Behold, I have created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that brings forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the wasters to destroy.
And I have created the waster to destroy. So when the waster goes out to destroy, he's doing his job that Yahweh created him for. He's doing exactly what he was made to do. All he need to do is have Yahweh release him on something. He ain't got to ask him, look here, I need about 10,000 people dead now. All he got to do is release him. He like, oh, I know what I was born to do. This is what I was made for. And he going to keep killing until Yahweh tell him to stop. Go ahead.
No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment you shall condemn.
Right. Every no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment you shall condemn. There's power in your words. How do we use them? Go ahead.
This is the heritage of the servants of Yah, and their righteousness is of me, says Yahweh.
Their righteousness is of me. Jump to chapter 56. And let's read verses 1 through 8.
Thus says Yahweh, keep you judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed.
Right, but then there's some things that have to be done. Keep you judgment and justice. Judgment and justice sometimes is the most difficult thing. Because you got to deal with maybe some people that you love about some things that were done out of order. Or do you just go ahead and I'm just going, just to, keep things smooth. We're going, we're just going to blow this over. We just going, just throw it under the rug. No, justice and judgment must be done. And sometimes that's very difficult. Do you ignore justice and judgment because it's somebody you care about? Remember that they got Eli killed. He saw what his sons were doing, but he didn't deal with them. And Yahweh ended up not only dealing with his sons, but then dealing with him because he didn't deal with his sons. Now, had he at least tried to deal with them, that would have at least preserved his own life. Yeah, Yahweh was going to take their life because how they operated. But maybe if he had tried his best to persuade them against that way, maybe they would have not gotten so bold with doing it. Go ahead.
Blessed is the man that does this, and the Son of Man that lays hold on it, that keeps the Sabbath from polluting it, and keeps his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh has utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree.
Right, and that there has to be some Hebrew congregations that have decided that they were just going to rip this chapter out. They have various chapters that they have to have ripped out of their Hebrew book because they have a doctrine that does not agree with what's written in here. And believe it or not, there are organizations that if they don't like a chapter, it gets removed. That Jehovah's Witness Bible is one of the strangest things you're going to come in contact with. First of all, if they don't like it, it ain't in there. Go ahead.
For thus says Yahweh unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in mine house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to Yahweh to serve him and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants, everyone that keeps the Sabbath from polluting it and takes hold on my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain.
Even them will I bring to my holy mountain. Understand, it was a mixed multitude that came out of Egypt. We always moved, with other entities, but the difference is those entities caused us to go against Yahweh our Elohim. Those entities are supposed to be about what you about. See, can't nobody come off into your space and be off in their own thing. Even our servants, when he got ready, these servants, he said, if you buy a servant with your money, they come in your house, they got to keep your law. They got to operate the way you operate. It says one law to the stranger and to you. They don't get to come in your house and do what they want to do. Yahweh gonna hold you responsible. Go ahead.
Even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar.
Their burnt offerings and sacrifices shall be accepted. But they just don't get to do that in their own kind of way, though. Go ahead.
For mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people.
My house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Go ahead.
The Adonai Yahweh, which gathers the outcasts of Israel, says, yet will I gather others to him, beside those that are gathered unto him.
Right. If things are gathered unto you, it's going to do what you do, not you do what they do. You got to understand who's the gathering unto. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Philippians chapter 2.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. If there be therefore any consolation in Yahshua, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill you my joy, that you be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind.
That means you operate under the same doctrine. There's not a different doctrine for different individuals. And if there is a different doctrine, then it brings forth a schism. Go ahead.
Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Yahshua HaMashiach, who, being in the form of Elohim, thought it not robbery to be equal with Elohim, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men.
Right. Everything that Yahshua did. He said, I am keeping the things, the instructions of my Father. He never went. They said, oh, he must be doing blasphemy, for he had made himself equal unto Elohim. He didn't push his own agenda. The agenda that he pushed was his Father's agenda. So it's amazing when people get right out there, and especially dealing with that Sunday morning doctrine, and say, thank you, Jesus, for everything. They never thanked the Father. He went constantly and deferred everything to the Father. Go ahead.
And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore Elohim also has highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name.
Right. Because he humbled himself, he was then exalted. Go ahead.
That at the name of Yahshua every knee shall bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahshua HaMashiach is Adonai, to the glory of Elohim the Father. Wherefore, my beloved, as you have also obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Then there's some things that we have to do. You don't just sit back, let Yahweh do everything, and then you come and seize on the prize. Go ahead.
For it is Elohim which works in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Do all things without murmurings and disputings.
Right. If we're going to do all things, understand, it was murmurings and disputings that got our people cut off in that wilderness. And we don't consider that when we murmuring about whatever it is we are murmuring about. It would be such a shame to lose our salvation over something trivial because we don't want to do this. We don't like that. Murmuring is what got us cut off. Go ahead.
That you may be blameless and harmless, the sons of Elohim, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Yahshua, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. Yea, and if I be offered upon the sacrifice and service of your faith, I joy and rejoice with you all. For the same cause also do you joy and rejoice with me. But I trust in the Adonai Yahshua to send Timotheus shortly unto you, that I also may be of good comfort when I know your state. For I have no man like-minded who will naturally care for your state.
I have no man like-minded who will naturally care for your state. People always ask, do you have a congregation up in this city? No. Because I don't have anybody that I would trust in some other city who is going to put Yahweh and Yahshua above everything else and care for you in a way that I would feel comfortable. Go ahead.
For all seek their own, not the things which are Yahshua HaMashiach's. But you know the proof of him, that as a son with the Father, he has served with me in the gospel. Him therefore I hope to send presently, so soon as I shall see how it will go with me. But I trust in the Adonai that I also myself shall come shortly. Yet I suppose it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother, and companion in labor, and fellow soldier.
Companion in labor and fellow soldier. See, these are individuals who are working, who are doing something, not just taking up space. Go ahead.
But your messenger, and he that ministered to my wants. For he longed after you all, and was full of heaviness, because that you had heard that he had been sick. For indeed he was sick near unto death, but Elohim had mercy on him, and not on him only, but on me also, lest I should have sorrowed upon sorrow.
Least I should have sorrow upon sorrow. So he was blessed to have better health for himself and for me. Go ahead.
I sent him therefore the more carefully, that when you see him again, you may rejoice, and that I may be the less sorrowful.
Right. When I sent him therefore the more carefully, that when you see him again, you may rejoice. So he was sick unto death. Soon as he felt better, he was out. He back working. We get a twinkle in our eye.
Oh no, I ain't gonna be able to do it today. What happened? It just blinked on its own. You saw that? Look at that. I ain't gonna be able to make it.
Right. folk on their deathbed. Soon as they got up, went back to work. It took the deathbed to keep them from work. See, I had an example. This is what happened when you don't have an example. My elder always wrote down his notes. I knew it was at the end because he couldn't write his notes down. He continued all the way to the point that I'm watching. It's making tears run down my face because he got this pen and he can't even write down his notes. I knew it wasn't going to be long after that. But I had an example. So, I know the way I'm supposed to deal with something. So you ain't going to catch no situation where, Sock feeling under the weather. He ain't showing. Y'all know how many times I done felt bad and been right here. And I could start. And once I start, I don't feel none of the sickness. I don't know what happened. He'll let me finish the whole thing. And I'll be back there. And I'll still go back in my office. And I'll be back there for about another 30 minutes. Still feeling high off the class. And then I get the spirit. It's like, all right, I got to go. You know what I'm saying? Then I'll be like, it come back. I was like, uh-oh.
Brother's still human.
Hey, it left long enough for me to do my job. Right. Go ahead, brother.
Receive him therefore in the Adonai with all gladness, and hold such in reputation.
All right. Did you finish that last verse, bro?
Because for the work of Yahshua, he was near unto death, not regarding his life, to supply your lack of service toward me.
Because for the work of the Mashiach, he was near unto death, not regarding his life, to supply your lack of service toward me. What'd he say? If a disciple who does not hate his own life, he can't work for me. He can't work for me. He has some different kind of things going on, and it's going to cause some problems. There is, before we leave out, we would normally read our announcements. We are not going to do that. I want to play this song for y'all. It's called Forsaken. And the beginning verse was what was on the opening of today's sermon. And if you don't understand the hook of the song, it is Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which is my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Go ahead, brother. Probably the number one. Father, may I have a word or two on the ground, face down, palms out towards you. I've been made to better approach of those. You know how the story goes. They hate you, but they won't face you. They stand with you insignificant to ever fight with thee. So they say it with their chest, and they come and find me. I really love my people, but sometimes they make me blue. They show glory to the heathen, indignation towards you. Oh, I really wish they knew that's what they do. It hurts that they are cursed, not knowing the truth. Ever thankful for my relocation out of the dark. You doing a impeccable job, renovating cold hearts. Elohim, let me be your broken model. Let me prove how the ones blind finds and follows. Even when I'm old and I'm walking with the staff, there ain't nothing that's gonna keep me up off this holy path. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, blue as the sky, where in tears I cry. Please help my unbelief. Trials and denials, please uphold me. robust. So I like to thank you for the distrust. Without hate, what's love? When you touch what I love, then I hate what I become. Distracted and demented, standing in the pool of blood. Now you know I'm injured, I sold everything I have to purchase this field. Now the baby lions want to test to see if they're real. Eli, love myself, I can hide. Blue at the sky, river tears I cry. Please help my unbelief. Trials and denials, please uphold me. Eli, love myself, I can hide. Blue at the sky, river tears I cry. Please help my unbelief. Trials and denials, please uphold me. Eli, love myself, I can hide. I am a man's man. Why so much I have to cry when I write? It's like blood all on the scroll when I love. It's like fire all in my soul. Had to learn the hard way. This don't love like that. Now I'm looking up to you with a heart that's cracked. Drip, drip, steady leaking as a freak and get refunded on the Sabbath. So please make it to the weekend. I've been betrayed with the kiss. Now my imagination wonders all the things that I miss. I love all with the part of a reconstructed heart, but I can only love as hard as what's in that broken shard. Developing emotions and I'm feeling all blue. Then I realize this is what we all did to you. I often wonder, does my God ever cry? If I could, I promise I would dry all